been a little bit, guys, but I've been trying to see how the best way to cover the news is when we're not really saying things for what they are. We're trying to move past the uncomfortable truths. But Alex Jones, I think, put it pretty well last night or the night before when he was speaking to Nick Fuentes. I'm going to show you what he said here, and we're going to break it down.
So I'm in full horror mode. Let me ask you this question. So I'm not going to spend 10 minutes countering back here. I really want to hear what you have to say. How could Trump, even he was raping kids, which you said there's some evidence of that. It's obviously the CIA and Mossad's made a deal. That's what I've been told by the White House. They're like, hey, we got to make a deal with national security. So I'm just telling you, folks, that's what it is. At least that's what they told me. That makes sense. Why then would they bring attention to it and behave like this? Well, he's 79. He has been in 9 years, basically, as the president. I couldn't handle this at 51. And the truth is that Trump doesn't give up. He doesn't break down, but he cracks up. And from my sources, and I don't say this meanly, folks, I just can't lie to the audience. He can't handle the pressure. And instead of having, Democrat operatives in his White House, he now has Israelis. And look, I'm the guy that always said China's the main issue, the EU, the globalists, BlackRock, because Israel controlled our foreign policy in the Middle East, but they weren't, from all my research, the dominant group. So I was just said what I knew. But now, in this power vacuum, Israel is bragging in their newspapers that they're the superpower, they control Trump. Well, how do they control Trump? And we know Epstein is Mossad, Maxwell's dad, all of them. And from the best intel I have, Trump shut this down for that. And now he's pissed because the Democrats turned around, even though Trump made a deal, and are bringing it up. And that's what he's doing. And he's walked into a trap. So now he's trying to kind of extricate. So it's a nightmare. And so, listen, my listeners want me to go on Trump. I don't do what my listeners want. I do what I think's best. But at this point, I don't even know what to do because my enemies want to put me in prison. And we know they're child molesters and want the border open. And everything. We know they're bad. And then now Trump's this big thing. And all I can say is Trump rode in on the populist wave and populists were everywhere. So we should not put all our eggs in this basket. But I'm also trying to decide, okay, do I want the Democrats to win the House? Trump needs to indict them for Crossfire Hurricane. He needs to release the Epstein files. He needs to stop listening to the CIA or he's doomed. I mean, I think that is clear to me that, like you said, you don't shoot at the king once and miss and then barely survive. He's gotten a second shot, and we've got to take them down. He's got to do that. And so I think it's existential. If Trump doesn't go to full war and actually do something, then by extension, he's given it to the bad guys. And so I think really, at the end of the day, it's all about action. Because America will forgive him for whatever this is if he backs away from it and indicts them for other things they've done that are cut and dry. But if they don't, but then that's a whole other discussion, Nick. Let's talk about what Trump should do, but also what is the way out of this? Because I'm like pissed at Trump, and then I look over there and I'm like, literal shark tank of piranhas ready to eat me in the country. And I'm actually deer in the headlights at this point because I'm just like, I mean, this is a nightmare scenario.
I agree. I mean, we feel stuck. I don't feel stuck because a year ago I was saying that we would sort of end up in a similar predicament. And
no, man, let me stop you again. I'll give you 10 minutes. I said that before you came on. I said, listen, I have guests on that are consistently right. You can disagree with overall your views or whatever, but you've been dead on. So my North Star is who's the most accurate. That's why I have on. So you did predict all this, which makes me physically ill. So what? Look at the crystal ball, Nick Fuentes. What is going to happen, and then what do we do?
It's hard to say what is going to happen next because, I was going to say we are in a way stuck. We are stuck with Trump for the next 4 years. And when I say stuck, I mean, whether you think it's good or bad, he's the president and he's in this incontestable position. That was sort of the aspect of it that was very concerning to me, which is that if you have Kamala Harris, she has no legitimacy. So a lot of people like to think, well, if Kamala won, what would that have looked like? Obviously, it would not have been as good. The economy wouldn't be as good. The border wouldn't have been as good. And that's obvious. But what was less concerning to me about Kamala against all of that is that she was a lot less stable. And not by that, I don't mean mentally. I mean that she had no legitimacy as a ruler because she didn't win the Democrat primary fair and square and never did. Nobody would believe she won the general election. If she won, no one would accept that that was a fair and square deal. And so the regime would have been a lot less stable and would have had a lot less leeway. What I fear with Trump is that he has this cult-like status within the GOP. And when you look at the approval ratings over the past month, he has been declining with independents. He's hit a low with Democrats, as always. But his approval with Republicans has been remarkably stable. It's been stabilized at just under 90% approval, even in spite of everything, in spite of bombing Iran, in spite of floating the amnesty deal, in spite of the Epstein files. And so you say to yourself, where do we go from here? What do we do next? We're in this sort of intractable position where there's nothing we can do because he's there and no one can challenge him. He steamrolled Congress to get the BBB. He steamrolled many of the people in the primary throughout this whole process. And so you say, if Trump is failing us, if he's failing as a guy, and I agree with you, there's some sympathy with it. You don't say it to be mean. You don't say it even necessarily to be critical, but just descriptively, this is an old man. He has been fighting for a long time. He is tired. And you can see that he can't handle it. You can see that it is a crack up, that he cannot handle these questions. And you watch these press conferences, these interviews, it's extraordinary the way he keeps digging, the way he gets asked about it and puts his foot in his mouth with this sort of, oh, well, we need to just stop thinking about that. And it's a Democrat hoax. And you say, how is it even possible that he's fumbling this hard? So much so that people are saying maybe it's calculated because it is not possible to mess it up this bad. He's failing. He's cracking up.
Oh,
At
yeah,
the same
I love
time,
the futards saying, oh, he's going to make Democrats release the file. He's in control of it, dumbasses.
exactly.
Yeah, so this whole thing where Trump is digging and digging and digging and trying to move us along from this thing, it's not something we can move past. And Ghislaine Maxwell just got moved to a minimum security prison, and there's all this stuff coming out that we've never seen before with videos and letters and little snippets, making this look a whole lot worse. So, I mean, for Alex Jones to come out and say that Israel's pulling the strings of the White House, like, this is a guy who never criticizes Israel. So I'm not trying to leap to conclusions, but I think it's pretty clear what's happening if Trump's going to be weird about this. And they're absolutely right that, I mean, my biggest contention with Trump has been that he's not going full force against the deep state and the people that we know to be the ones causing all this chaos and turbulence for the country, with like misrepresenting reality and doing things that are against the best interest of the, people who are paying the taxes, funding the government. So yeah, he has to stop listening to the CIA. He has to cut down the CIA like several pegs. And, we got the FBI scouring through the Epstein files, redacting Trump's name. Yeah, I just can't take anything too seriously until we get to the bottom of this, because, if we have a president who's making decisions under the threat of blackmail, then it's not really something we could just move along and go on to the next thing. So that's why I haven't been as politically active the last few weeks, because it's like if the guy that we were all relying on is in this situation and all the supporters are just going to kind of move on and say like, all right, on to the next thing. Well, I guess we're not going to get the answer to that. So like how serious are we if that's the case? And, Nick Fuentes, later in the thing, he goes on to say, oh, I think this is a great opportunity. I think that this is a great opportunity because Trump really woke a lot of people up, but he's not giving them what they want. But he's saying my movement, that's what's going to get people what they want. All right, but Nick, you got your problems too. He's been right about a lot of things, but you got your problems too, Nick. I mean, I wouldn't say that your course of actions is like the exact right thing to do. But yeah, I don't think this thing's going to go away. It's not going to go away. And if Trump gets taken out of office because of this, we trust J.D. Vance. Like, he says all the right things, but his road to the White House isn't very settling either. I mean, I think that guy could flip on a dime. I don't think we know the real J.D. Vance. And I don't think we know the real Trump. But I think we'll get a better look at it if we see what's in those files. But I think we're looking at a guy that's being held captive right now. If you have information about this that you would like me to focus on and expose and elaborate on, reach out to me on Minnect so we can have a conversation about this, because I'm trying to be real strategic about the next course of actions. I mean, you guys know what I want to do. You know, I'm going to get into Congress and pursue the White House and everything in the future, but I got to put a plan together to do that. So be part of the mastermind. I have a group called VT Research that we research these things and put together plans of action to do what we think is best for ourselves and for the country. So with that said, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next. Much love.